Imagine possessing a superpower so potent it could create life, fuel your dreams, and unlock the secrets of the universe. Now imagine flushing it down the toilet daily. Sounds dumb, right? Well, that's exactly what you're doing every time you masturbate. Take a deep breath. Feel that energy coursing through you? That's your life force, your power, and you're squandering it. For what? A fleeting moment of pleasure? Masturbation isn't just a harmless habit, it's actively killing your spirit. Uncomfortable? Good. Growth happens at the edge of discomfort. Grow up. Ask yourself, are you truly living up to your full potential? Are you as energized, focused, and spiritually connected as possible? If not, what you're about to hear might just revolutionize your life. This isn't about morality or religion. It's about tapping into ancient wisdom that modern science is only beginning to grasp. It's about reclaiming your power and unleashing your true potential. In Taoist philosophy, they speak of Jing, your body's most precious essence. Think of it as the oil in your car's engine. Every ejaculation depletes this essence, this life force energy. The ancient Taoists believed that 100 drops of blood were required to create 1 drop of semen. That's how valuable they considered this fluid. But ejaculating is natural. You're probably thinking, well, it's not natural, you're in a mental paradigm. You've been caught in a construct, conditioned to believe that it's natural to self-pleasure and to ejaculation, and even if it was natural, we all know the consequences of overindulgence. You can't ascend to your highest self while constantly indulging your lowest impulses. It's like trying to climb a mountain while digging a hole beneath your feet. Let me get specific about what you're losing with each ejaculation. Semen is a complex fluid containing over 200 separate proteins, as well as vitamins B12, C and E, zinc, calcium, citric acid, fructose, and other nutrients. You're literally expelling life-giving substances from your body that are meant to be used to create a human baby. This is not rhetoric, this is a fact. But it's not just about the physical components, it's about the energy, the potential, the very essence of creation that you're carelessly tossing away. Every time you masturbate, you're choosing momentary pleasure over long-term power and vitality. Think about the most successful, charismatic people you know. Have you ever noticed an aura of magnetism around them? That's the power of retained sexual energy. When you stop wasting this energy, you start radiating a charisma that attracts success, opportunities, and deep connections. For the skeptics, I'll explain the science. 1. Frequent masturbation desensitizes dopamine receptors, numbing you to life's joys. This isn't just about sex, it affects your ability to feel pleasure and motivation in all areas of life. You're essentially giving yourself a form of anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. 2. Ejaculation lowers testosterone, crucial for energy, motivation, and cognitive function. Studies have shown that abstaining from ejaculation for 7 days can increase serum testosterone levels by 145.7%. Imagine what that could do for your energy levels, your mental clarity, and your drive to achieve your goals. 3. Porn-induced erectile dysfunction is a growing concern, rewiring brains to respond to pixels instead of people. This isn't just affecting your sex life, it's changing the way your brain processes reward and pleasure, potentially impacting your ability to form deep, meaningful relationships. 4. Research has shown that semen retention can increase androgen receptors in the brain. This means your body becomes more responsive to the testosterone you have, amplifying its positive effects. 5. Abstaining from ejaculation has been linked to increased spinal cord reflex excitability. In simpler terms, this means improved physical performance and faster reflexes. Now, let me tell you about injaculation, the practice of experiencing orgasm without ejaculation. Yes, orgasm is separate from ejaculation. This isn't just some new age concept. It's rooted in ancient Taoist sexual practices and is gaining recognition in modern sexology. Research and our own experience tells us that ejaculation will lead to increased energy levels. By retaining the nutrients and life force in semen, you're keeping that energy in your body. Improved prostate health. Contrary to popular belief, regular ejaculation isn't necessary for prostate health. Ejaculation allows for the benefits of orgasm without the loss of vital fluids. Remember, those fluids are needed to create life. Imagine all the vital life essence within what you habitually eject. Enhanced sexual stamina. As you master control over your ejaculatory reflex, you naturally last longer during sexual activities. More intense orgasms. Many practitioners report whole-body orgasms that far surpass the brief pleasure of ejaculatory orgasms. Spiritual awakening. As you learn to circulate sexual energy through your body, you may experience heightened states of consciousness and spiritual insights. Imagine channeling all that conserved energy into your goals, dreams, and spiritual growth. Don't forget what you're here to do. But it's not just about the benefits of retention, it's about what you're avoiding. Every time you ejaculate, you're depleting your body of zinc, selenium, and other crucial nutrients. You're flooding your system with prolactin, which suppresses dopamine. You're triggering a refractory period where your body and mind are less capable and less energized. Now let's talk about the spiritual essence behind this. In tantric traditions, sexual energy is the key to higher consciousness, the fuel for kundalini awakening. But instead of raising this energy to enlighten your mind, you're spilling it out, dimming your light. The Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, an ancient text of 112 meditation techniques, includes several practices focused on using sexual energy for spiritual awakening. One such technique instructs, at the start of sexual union, keep attentive on the fire in the beginning, and so continuing, avoid the embers in the end. This is about maintaining awareness and circulating energy rather than losing it through ejaculation. Do you often feel lost, struggling to find purpose or deep connections? Like I've been saying, you're constantly depleting the very energy needed for spiritual growth. Your sexual energy isn't just about reproduction or pleasure, it's the most potent creative force you possess. It's the energy that can fuel your deepest inspirations, your most enlightening insights, and your highest achievements. It helps you unfold into the real you. This isn't about repression. It's about mastery. Let me say that again. It's not about repression. It's about mastery. Think. Your sexual energy is like an oil well. Will you let it gush out wastefully or refine it to power your entire life? Here's a roadmap for you. You're welcome to walk this path alongside us. 1. Question every urge. Is this the best use of my creative energy? When you feel the impulse to masturbate, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself what you could create or achieve if you channeled this energy differently. 2. See your sexual energy as sacred. Your body is a temple. Treat it as such. Start viewing your sexuality not as a source of quick pleasure, but as a wellspring of vitality and creative power. 3. Transmute the energy. Channel it into exercise, art, or passion projects. When sexual energy arises, try redirecting it. Do some push-ups, stretches, deep breath work, handstands. Work on that business plan. You'll be amazed at how this energy can fuel your vision. Think, feel. 4. Meditate. Learn to circulate this energy throughout your body. Try this. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and visualize your sexual energy as a warm, golden light in your pelvic area. 5. Explore tantric practices and ejaculation with a partner. Please let it be with someone who you share spiritual connections with, someone who you love. Transform your connections. Tantric sex isn't just about pleasure. It's about using sexual connection as a pathway to spiritual awakening. Start by practicing extended foreplay, synchronized breathing with your partner, and maintaining eye contact during intimacy. Practice testicular breathing. This Taoist technique involves using breath and visualization to draw energy from your testicles up into your body. It's a powerful way to cultivate and circulate sexual energy. Again, research this specific thing and don't forget the name, testicular breathing. 7. Engage in regular physical exercise. This helps to circulate the conserved sexual energy throughout your body, preventing stagnation and promoting overall vitality. Physical exercise can be things like hatha yoga and qigong as well. Here's a provocative thought. Perhaps the powers that be want you to keep masturbating. A population drained of vital energy, numbed by dopamine hits, is easier to control. Let this bubble in your brain for a minute. In a world that constantly bombards you with sexual imagery and promotes instant gratification, choosing to retain and cultivate your sexual energy is a radical act of self-empowerment. Let me say that again. In a world saturated with sexual imagery and the lure of instant gratification, choosing to retain and cultivate your sexual energy becomes an act of self-empowerment. Think, I'm not here to dictate your actions. I'm here to make you question everything. To make you think deeply about how your choices shape your reality. Every time you choose to masturbate, you're making a decision about who you want to be and what you want to achieve in life. Here's your challenge: 30 days without masturbation. Retain your energy and transmute it into something higher. Journal your experiences, mood, energy levels, mental clarity, spiritual insights. Pay attention to how your interactions with others change, how your productivity increases, and how your dreams become more vivid. You will struggle. You will get pushed back, and that's okay. The awareness itself is transformative. Each time you resist the urge, you're building willpower, you're reclaiming your power, and you're choosing your higher self over momentary pleasure. If you make it through those 30 days, you'll never see yourself the same way again. You'll tap into a wellspring of power you never knew existed. You will experience increased confidence and charisma, enhanced mental clarity and focus, more vivid dreams and intuitive insights, greater physical vitality and faster recovery from exercise, a magnetic attraction that draws people and opportunities to you, deeper, more fulfilling connections with partners, a sense of purpose and spiritual connection. Remember, this isn't about counting days. The 30 days are just a benchmark, nothing to brag about in the comments section. It's really about a lifestyle change, a paradigm shift leading to a permanent perceptive upgrade. Semen retention doesn't mean no sex, it means mastering your sexual energy. Research ejaculation techniques. Learn more about Taoist and Tantric practices. This is a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. You are not your body. You're not your urges. You are a spiritual being with infinite potential. It's time to stop leaking your power and start embodying it. It's time to reclaim the energy that's rightfully yours and use it to fuel your evolution. Are you ready to reclaim your energy? To stop killing your spirit and start fueling your ascension? To step into your full power as a man? The choice is yours. But remember, every decision either feeds your spirit or starves it. Every time you choose to retain your semen, you're choosing empowerment over weakness, creation over waste, ascension over stagnation. The power is in your hands, literally. What are you going to do with it? Comment below if you know you've been depleting these vitamins and nutrients.
My friends, the world will try to convince you that you need others, that you need circumstances to align, that you must wait for opportunities, for approval, for timing. But I tell you this, you only need yourself. For within you lies the source of all creation. Every image you have ever seen, every event you have ever lived, has first been conceived in the unseen chambers of your imagination. Look around. Every building, every invention, every piece of art, before it stood in stone or steel, it was first a vision in the mind of its creator. And so it is with your life. If you want to change your world, do not fight against conditions. Do not plead with others to give you what you think is lacking. Turn inward, for the secret of your tomorrow is hidden in the picture you carry of yourself today. When you dare to believe in the unseen, when you assume within yourself the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are planting the seed that must, by law, appear in your outer world. The world cannot resist the conviction of one who inwardly knows Your inner conversations are the builders of your destiny. What you whisper to yourself in silence, those quiet repetitions of doubt or of faith, become the very structure of your experience. If you persist in speaking to yourself as though you already are the person you desire to be, the world has no choice but to echo it back to you. No man, no woman, no condition holds your future. Only you do. For your world is your own reflection, faithfully showing you who you assume yourself to be. If you see lack, it is the projection of a mind dwelling on lack. If you see abundance, it is because you have embraced abundance within. So I say, stand firm in your vision. Do not wait for permission. Do not seek validation. Assume the end boldly and live in it as though it were already here. When you walk in that state, life bends itself to fulfill your conviction. For in truth, you only need yourself. And when you discover that, you will find that the self within you is far greater than you ever imagined. Imagination is the true source of creation, the silent workshop where all things are born. Before a single event unfolds in your outer world, it is first conceived in the unseen depths of your inner world. The thoughts you dwell upon, the pictures you allow to dominate your mind, and the emotions you attach to those pictures all become the blueprint from which your life is built. You may think circumstances create your experience, but in truth, it is your inner state that molds the circumstances. Change your thoughts, and the world changes. For the world is nothing but the reflection of your consciousness. Consider for a moment the things that surround you. Every invention you use, every building you enter, every work of art you admire, all of them were once invisible. They existed only as an idea, an image within someone's imagination. Before the plane ever flew, it was only a vision in the mind of its creator. Before a great book was written, it was only a dream whispered silently within. The outer form was simply the shadow of an inner conviction. So it is with your own life. The experiences you meet, whether pleasant or unpleasant, are the shadows cast by the thoughts you persist in entertaining. Most people believe they are victims of circumstance, but this is only because they do not realize the power they hold. They look at what is happening around them and assume that the world is fixed, unchangeable, and independent of their inner life. But the truth is the opposite. The outer is always the servant of the inner. When you alter the pictures you carry of yourself and the world, the conditions that once seemed immovable begin to bend. New opportunities appear. Old obstacles dissolve. What once seemed impossible becomes natural. Imagination is not idle fantasy, it is creative power. To imagine yourself healthy while feeling the reality of it is to set in motion the very forces that bring health into your experience. To imagine success while dwelling in the feeling of already being successful is to call success forth from the unseen. The world responds not to what you want faintly, but to what you assume vividly. This is why a passing thought carries little weight. But a sustained inner vision, accepted as truth, must eventually clothe itself in fact. When you recognize this, you stop blaming others for your condition. You no longer plead with life to give you what you lack. Instead, you turn inward and claim it within. You assume the end boldly and dwell in it until it feels real. And because imagination is the womb of creation, that which you hold inwardly must be delivered outwardly. So when you wish to change your life, do not fight against appearances. Do not wrestle with shadows. Simply change your inner state. Live in the vision of what you desire as though it were already true. Persist in that assumption, and the world, being nothing more than your mirror, will reflect it back. Imagination is the true source of creation, and in learning to master it, you master life itself. Faith in the unseen shapes the seen. For all that comes into being first exists as an invisible seed within the mind. The visible world, which you call reality, is only the harvest of beliefs that have been planted and nurtured in the unseen soil of consciousness. What you accept inwardly, even before there is the slightest evidence of it outwardly, must, by an unbreakable law, manifest in your world. Faith is not hoping that something might occur, nor is it merely wishing for a better tomorrow. Faith is the inner certainty, the quiet conviction that what you hold in imagination is already yours, even though the senses deny it. This truth has been echoed through the ages. The world you see is but a reflection of the unseen you have embraced. A person who carries within themselves the belief of unworthiness will encounter a life that reflects rejection and limitation. Another, who holds inwardly the sense of dignity and abundance, will walk through doors that open almost effortlessly. The difference is not found in fortune, environment, or luck. It is found in faith. It is found in what each has accepted inwardly as true of themselves. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the unseen cause that calls forth the seen effect. To walk in faith is to live from the end, to assume the state you desire and dwell in it as though it were already present. This is not pretending, nor is it self-deception. It is recognizing that the unseen is the true reality, and that what you see with your physical eyes is but the shadow of what has already been accepted in the inner realm. Just as a seed once planted must produce after its kind, so too must the inward acceptance produce outwardly. Consider the artist who sees the completed painting in their mind before a single stroke touches the canvas, or the architect who carries the vision of a building before one stone is laid. They do not doubt, they do not question, they know. And because they know, the outer form must eventually match the inner picture. This is the same law by which your life unfolds. What you accept inwardly with faith and persistence must materialize. The senses often argue against this. They show you what appears to be lack, limitation, or delay. But faith pays no attention to the evidence of the senses. Faith holds to the unseen reality, even when the outer world seems to contradict it. In doing so, faith reshapes the outer world. To believe only when you see is not faith at all. It is simply agreement with appearances. True faith believes first, and then the seen follows. So when you desire change, you must begin not by waiting for outer confirmation, but by embracing the unseen within. Accept it now as real, live in its feeling, and persist regardless of appearances. In time, the world will conform, for faith in the unseen shapes the seen, and the unseen you have claimed will inevitably become the life you live. The inner conversation creates the outer reality, for the dialogue you carry on within yourself is the true author of your experiences. Every day, you speak silently in the chambers of your mind. You question, you affirm, you doubt, you rehearse possibilities, and you revisit memories. These words may never be spoken aloud, but they form the pattern of your life. The words you repeat in silence become the echoes of your world, returning to you as events, circumstances, and encounters. You may think life is happening to you, but in truth it is responding to the script you are writing, moment by moment. Within. Your inner conversation is not idle, it is creative. When you silently say, I can't, you plant the seed of limitation. When you whisper to yourself, I am unlucky, the world mirrors back experiences that reinforce that belief. Conversely, when you affirm within, I am able, I am worthy, I am successful, even if no outer evidence yet exists, you set in motion the forces that bring those realities to pass. Life has no choice but to reflect the tone of your inner speech, for your world is a mirror of your assumptions. Most people are unaware of the power of their inner talk. They complain of lack, but their secret dialogue is filled with words of doubt and fear. They long for success, but in silence they argue for their own smallness. They wonder why nothing changes, yet every night as they drift to sleep, they rehearse the same stories of failure or rejection. The world faithfully reflects these conversations not as punishment, but as law. The inner dialogue sustained becomes the outer event lived. The transformation of life begins with the transformation of speech. First, the silent speech within. You do not have to shout, you do not have to force, you need only to persist in a new conversation. When you begin to tell yourself in silence, I am already what I desire to be. I am living in my answered prayer. Something subtle yet powerful shifts within you. The outer world, though it may seem unchanged at first, cannot resist the steady pressure of your new inner word. It must eventually echo back what you have claimed inwardly. Imagine two actors rehearsing a play. If the lines they speak change, the story itself changes. So it is with you. Your life is the stage, but the script is written in your silent conversations. Change the script and the performance must follow. This is why it is so vital to guard your inner talk. Every repetition strengthens an assumption. Every word spoken in silence is a seed cast into the soil of consciousness. If you persist in sowing words of faith, strength, and fulfillment, your harvest will be a life that bears those very qualities. Therefore, listen carefully to what you say to yourself when no one else is listening. Train the voice within to agree with your highest vision, not your present limitation. For the inner conversation creates the outer reality, and the words you whisper in silence will one day be shouted by the circumstances of your life. Self is the only power you need, for within you lies the source of all creation and all transformation. Too often, people believe their destiny depends on the approval of others, on the rise and fall of circumstances, or on conditions beyond their control. They wait for opportunities, depend on authority, and look to external forces to determine their worth. Yet the truth is far simpler and infinitely more empowering. No external authority, no condition, no person can limit what you assume to be true of yourself. Your own self, your inner conviction of who you are, is the one and only power that shapes your world. The self is not the fragile personality shaped by opinions or experiences. It is the deeper awareness that assumes, imagines, and believes. This inner self is sovereign, and it rules the outer world by what it accepts as true. If you assume yourself to be weak, life will echo weakness. If you assume yourself to be strong, life will provide situations that confirm your strength. Others may try to influence you. Circumstances may appear threatening, yet all of these are shadow. The real substance is what you hold inwardly. History and everyday life alike testify to this. How many have risen from obscurity to greatness simply because they assumed themselves capable, even when no one else believed in them? How many have broken through limitation because they refused to accept the labels that the world placed upon them? In contrast, how many, with every advantage, still live small lives because they accepted an inner story of fear or inadequacy? The deciding factor was never external. It was always the self-concept carried within. When you truly grasp this, dependence on others begins to fall away. You no longer wait for validation, for permission, or for circumstances to line up. You stop pleading with the world to give you what you already possess inwardly. Instead, you assume the state you desire and live in it boldly. You realize that to change the world outside, you must first change the image of yourself inside. The outer will always reflect the inner, and the inner is entirely under your authority. To believe that others hold power over you is to give away your birthright. No one can imprison your imagination. No one can dictate your assumptions. You may be in a place of difficulty, yet the moment you assume a new state of being, you set in motion a new future. This is why the self is the only true power. It alone decides what you accept, and what you accept must eventually appear in form. Dare to believe greatly of yourself. Assume that you are already the person you desire to be. Walk in that conviction, even when the outer world seems unchanged. The world has no choice but to mirror back the truth you have embraced within. Self is the only power you need, and when you discover this, you realize that freedom, creation, and fulfillment are already yours. Assume the end and live in it, for by dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you call into being what already exists in spirit. Every desire you hold is not a random longing, but a signpost pointing toward a reality that is already alive within the unseen. When you desire something deeply, it is life itself, whispering to you that it is possible, that it is waiting for your acceptance. The way to bring it into form is not through struggle or endless effort, but by assuming the end and living in it now. And to assume the end is to occupy the state of fulfillment even before any outer evidence supports it. It is to walk, speak, and think as though the desired outcome were already yours. The mind may argue that this is foolish, that you must wait until circumstances prove it. But waiting for the world to change before you change within is to remain at the mercy of appearances. The law of creation works in the opposite direction. You change first, inwardly, and the world, compelled by your assumption, reshapes itself to reflect your inner state. When you assume the end, you are not pretending. You are aligning with the deeper reality, for everything that can ever exist already exists in spirit. The unseen is the true storehouse of all things, and your assumption is the act of claiming it. To live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to declare, "This is already mine. I walk in its reality now." When you persist in this conviction, the outer world must conform, for the unseen is always the cause of the seen. Consider an actor preparing for a role. Though the play has not yet begun, they take on the character, walking, speaking, and feeling as that character would. In time, the audience accepts this reality without question. So it is with you. By assuming the end and embodying it inwardly, you step into the role of the person you desire to be. Soon, life itself becomes the stage that reflects the part you have chosen. The secret lies in the feeling. Words alone will not do. It is the emotional acceptance that carries creative power. To feel the joy of success before success arrives, to rest in the peace of answered prayer before the evidence appears, this is the way to draw it into form. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the magnetic force that attracts to you the conditions necessary to give it life. Many wait for signs before they believe, but the one who assumes the end needs no sign. Their faith is the sign. And because they persist, life eventually bends to match their inner stance. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable, for they have already lived it within. So do not wait for tomorrow. Assume the end today. Live in the joy, the confidence, and the peace of fulfillment now. For by dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you summon into visibility that which already exists in spirit, and your world cannot help but reflect it back to you. Your outer world is your mirror, faithfully reflecting the image you hold of yourself within. Every experience you encounter, every circumstance you meet, and every relationship you form is feedback from your inner state. Life is not random, nor is it governed by chance. It is the exact outpicturing of who you believe yourself to be. When you look at your world, you are, in truth, looking at yourself. Your assumptions, your self-concept, your beliefs clothed in form. Most people spend their lives wrestling with shadows. They fight against conditions, resist others, and attempt to force change in the external world, all the while ignoring the cause within. But the outer is never the source. It is only the reflection. To attempt to change your circumstances without first changing your inner state is like trying to alter your reflection in a mirror without moving your own body. The moment you shift within, the mirror must adjust, for it has no life apart from you. This principle is both liberating and sobering. It means that you are never truly a victim of circumstances, no matter how convincing they appear. What you encounter is a projection of what you have assumed to be true about yourself. If you believe you are unloved, you will meet experiences that echo rejection. If you assume yourself prosperous, opportunities will arise to confirm your abundance. The mirror cannot lie. It shows you precisely who you are, being inwardly. Yet this is not cause for condemnation, but for empowerment. For if your outer world is only a reflection, then by changing the image you hold within, you can transform your life completely. You do not need to beg others to treat you differently. You do not need to struggle against circumstance. You need only to assume a new state of being. When you believe differently about yourself, the world has no choice but to echo your new belief. Think of it as a conversation between the inner and the outer. The world is continually answering the questions you have asked in silence. It is showing you, through events and encounters, the story you have been telling yourself. If you want a new answer, you must ask a new question. If you want a new reflection, you must embody a new assumption. This is why self-concept is the cornerstone of transformation. You cannot consistently experience what contradicts the truth you hold of yourself. You may temporarily rise above it, but the mirror always returns to the inner picture. To sustain lasting change, you must alter the root, who you know yourself to be. When you claim within, I am worthy, I am chosen, I am abundant, and persist in that knowing, Life bends to confirm it. Observe your world not with despair but with curiosity. Ask yourself, what is this reflecting back to me? What belief have I been carrying? Then, if the reflection displeases you, change the image within. For your outer world is your mirror, and by choosing a new inner state, you call forth a new reflection, brighter, truer, and more aligned with who you choose to be. And so, my friends, the truth is simple yet profound. You only need yourself. For imagination is the womb of creation, faith in the unseen is the bridge to the seen. Your inner conversation is the script of your destiny. The self is the only true power. Assuming the end calls forth the unseen into visibility, and your outer world is nothing more than the mirror of your inner state. Do not search outside for permission, for authority, or for proof. Everything you seek is already within you, waiting for your acceptance. Dare to believe greatly of yourself. Dare to live in the end boldly. Dare to claim the truth that the world is only showing you what you first accepted inwardly. When you master yourself, you master life. When you know that all power is within, you walk free, unshaken, and full of peace. For you only need yourself, and when you truly realize that, you will find that the self within you is limitless. Thank you.
Listen to me. Everything you've been told about men and love is a lie. You think men fall in love because of beauty? No. Because of sex? No. Because of effort? Still no. Men don't fall in love when they sleep with you. Men don't fall in love when you're always there proving your worth. Men fall in love when they feel something they don't feel anywhere else. Let me say that again. Men fall in love when a woman makes them feel something they can't find in the world. Not validation, not desperation, not control, but a force so rare it shakes them. A man falls in love when he sees you as the one person who makes him feel understood, but not chased, desired, but not suffocated. He falls in love when he knows deep in his gut that you are a woman who could walk away if he doesn't show up fully. Because here's the truth. Men don't value what's handed to them on a silver platter. They value what they have to earn. A man falls in love when he realizes you're not like the rest. You're not waiting by the phone. You're not begging for attention. You're in your own world, thriving, growing, living, and that's when he wakes up. That's when he sees what's in front of him. That's when he falls. Because love isn't about being everything to a man. It's about being the one thing he's afraid to lose. Now, are you that woman, or are you still playing small? Men don't fall in love the way you think they do. They don't fall in love because you're beautiful. They don't fall in love because you're always there, answering their calls, making them feel important. They don't even fall in love because you give them everything they want. That's the lie you've been sold. That's the illusion that's keeping you stuck, confused, wondering why he pulls away, why he loses interest, why he doesn't feel the same way you do. A man falls in love when he feels something he cannot find anywhere else. Not validation, not comfort, not control. He falls in love when he experiences an emotion so deep, so electrifying that it shakes him. It's a force that is bigger than logic, bigger than attraction, bigger than anything he understands. It's not a choice. It's an instinct. Everywhere he goes, the world is filled with expectations. Be successful. Be strong. Be the provider. Be the man. And so he moves through life with a mask, hiding his truth, playing the role the world expects him to play. He meets women who adore him, who admire him, who try to prove they're worthy of his love, and still something is missing. Something feels off. He can't explain it. He can't put it into words. But then, one day he meets a woman who doesn't just see him, she makes him feel. It's not because she gives him attention. It's not because she flatters him. It's not because she follows all the rules of how to make a man love you. It's because in her presence, something awakens in him, a depth he has forgotten. a hunger he didn't know existed. She makes him feel seen, but not in a way that makes him comfortable, in a way that makes him question himself. She challenges him without even trying. She moves through life with a force so undeniable that he has no choice but to notice. And that moment when his world shifts, when something inside of him stirs, that is when a man begins to fall. You see, love is not about logic. It is not about effort. It is not about checking all the right boxes. Love, real love, is about emotional impact. A man can have the most beautiful, devoted woman in the world and still not fall. Not because she isn't enough, but because she doesn't trigger the depth of emotion he needs to feel that pull, that fire, that undeniable knowing that he cannot let her go. When a man falls in love, it's not because he makes a decision to love. It's because something inside of him doesn't give him a choice. It's because when he's with her, the world feels different. The air is different. The silence is different. He is different. And he doesn't even understand why. He just knows he needs more of it. But here's the hard truth. Most women never get to that place. Not because they aren't amazing, but because they are too busy trying to be what they think a man wants. They play the role. They shrink themselves. They say the right things. They overgive. They overcommit. They over-explain. They try to love him into loving them, and in doing so, they strip away the very thing that would make him fall. A man does not fall in love with a woman who hands him her soul on a silver platter. He does not fall in love with convenience. He does not fall in love with predictability. He falls in love with the one thing he can't control, the one thing he can't explain, the one thing he knows deep in his bones he will never find again. And that woman? She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't need to prove anything. She is the experience. She is the storm. She is the moment he realizes he is no longer in control. And when that happens, he will do anything to make sure he never loses her. A man does not value what comes too easily. He does not cherish what he didn't have to fight for. If you hand him your love on a silver platter, if you bend over backwards to prove your worth, if you rearrange your life just to fit into his, he won't see it as a blessing. He'll see it as something that costs him nothing. And anything that costs nothing is taken for granted. Think about it. The things people value most in life, the things they fight for, bleed for, sweat for, are the things they had to earn: success, respect, power, even love. When something is handed to you without effort, it loses its significance. That's human nature. And men, they are wired to pursue, to chase, to conquer. That's not just some cliche. It's biology, psychology, and reality. A man doesn't truly fall for the woman who is always available, always giving, always proving. He falls for the woman who makes him step up, who makes him realize that if he doesn't show up fully, he could lose her. That's the woman who makes his heart race. That's the woman who makes him rethink everything. Because here's the truth. Nobody tells you when you give too much, too soon, too easily, you strip away the very thing that makes a man desire you. It's not because he's cruel. It's not because he wants to hurt you. It's because he is wired to value what he has to work for. If he doesn't have to earn your love, your time, your presence, he won't feel the same intensity for you. And I know what you're thinking, but I'm just being kind. I'm just showing him I care. I just want to make him happy. That's the mistake, because in your mind, love means giving. Love means effort. Love means showing up for someone fully. But in a man's mind, love means something different. It means wanting. It means pursuing. It means feeling like he might lose you if he doesn't give you his all. So many women think they have to do more, be more, give more to make a man love them. They think if they just show him how amazing they are, he'll wake up one day and realize he's in love. But that's not how it works. A man doesn't fall in love with effort. He falls in love with the feeling that he might lose something he deeply desires. Look around. The relationships that last, the love that is unbreakable, the women who are cherished beyond words, they are not the women who gave everything away for free. They are the women who made a man rise to the occasion, who made him show up, who made him prove to himself and to her that he was willing to go all in. Because when a man has to earn you, he sees you differently. You are not just another option. You are not just another woman who is there for convenience. You are the rare jewel, the one thing he knows he cannot replace. And that is what makes a man stay. Not guilt, not obligation, not comfort, but the deep, undeniable understanding that you are valuable and he had to fight to have you. And when a man fights for something, when he invests in it, when he has to step up and give his best, that's when he treasures it. That's when he holds it close. That's when he makes sure with everything in him that he never loses it. A man does not fall in love with the woman who needs him. He falls in love with the woman who doesn't. The woman who is so full of life, so consumed by her own passions, so deeply rooted in who she is, that his presence is a privilege, not a requirement. The woman who walks into a room and owns it, not because she's trying, but because her energy is undeniable. The woman who doesn't seek approval, who doesn't beg for attention, who doesn't bend herself into something smaller just to fit into his world, that is the woman who captures his soul. Men don't chase women who are just standing still, waiting to be chosen. They chase the women who are already in motion, already moving towards something greater than love itself. A man sees a woman who is independent, who is thriving, who is so completely whole within herself, and he feels something rare, respect. And that respect turns into admiration, and that admiration turns into desire. And that desire, that's what makes him fall. Because here's what nobody tells you: love is not about filling a void. It's not about fixing loneliness. It's not about needing someone to complete you. A man does not want to be your savior. He does not want to be the reason you exist. He does not fall for the woman who makes him her entire world. He falls for the woman who has a world of her own, because that world is what makes her magnetic. That world is what makes him crave her. And that's the mistake so many women make. They meet a man, they start to like him, and suddenly everything becomes about him. Their schedule bends for him, their time revolves around him, their happiness depends on him. And at first he might enjoy it. He might even soak it up. But deep down, something shifts. The excitement fades. The challenge disappears. The energy that pulled him in, it's gone. Because he no longer feels like he's stepping into something extraordinary. He feels like he's being handed something that requires no effort, no risk, no risking. A man does not value what is given to him freely. He values what he has to earn. And a woman who is confident, who is independent, who is completely in love with her own life, that is a woman he knows he has to work for. That is a woman he knows is not waiting by the phone, not hoping for his attention, not desperate for his love. That is a woman he knows could walk away if he doesn't show up as the man she deserves. And that realization, that is what makes him step up. That is what makes him put in the effort. That is what makes him look at her and say, I can't lose this. Because men do not fall in love with women they can have without effort. They fall in love with women who make them better, who make them chase, who make them rise to a higher standard. And when a woman has that energy, that unshakable confidence, that presence that says, I am enough with or without you, a man has no choice but to see her differently. She is not an option. She is not a temporary thrill. She is not replaceable. She is the rarest thing he has ever encountered. And the thought of losing her, that is what makes him fall. Because he knows deep in his soul that a woman like her doesn't come twice. A man doesn't fall in love because you love him. He doesn't fall in love because you give him your time, your body, your loyalty. He doesn't fall in love because you're always there, always available, always ready to do whatever it takes to make him happy. A man falls in love when he realizes deep in his gut that you are the one thing he cannot afford to lose. The moment that fear hits him, the moment he understands that you are not a woman who waits, who begs, who pleads, that's when everything changes. Because here's the brutal truth. A man does not commit to something he isn't afraid to lose. If he knows you will always be there no matter what, if he knows you will always forgive, always compromise, always stay even when he gives you the bare minimum, he will never give you his all. Not because he's a bad person, not because he doesn't care, but because human nature doesn't work that way. We do not treasure what we think will always be there. We treasure what we know is rare, what we know could slip through our fingers if we don't hold on tight, and that's the mistake so many women make. They think being irreplaceable means being the most loving, the most giving, the most understanding. They think if they show him unconditional love, he will wake up one day and realize she's the best thing that ever happened to him. But that's not how it works. A man doesn't fall in love with comfort. He falls in love with the fear of losing something extraordinary. He falls in love when he knows without a doubt that if he doesn't step up, if he doesn't give you his best, you won't stick around just because you love him. He has to feel that his place in your life is not guaranteed. He has to feel that if he stops showing up, if he stops putting in the effort, if he starts treating you like an afterthought, you will not wait for him to wake up. He has to know that you are not a woman who tolerates half love, half effort, half commitment. That realization shakes a man. It wakes him up. It makes him see you in a way he has never seen any woman before. Not as a convenience, not as someone who is just there, but as a force he cannot afford to lose. A man does not fall in love with a woman who sacrifices herself for him. He falls in love with the woman who knows her worth so deeply that she refuses to settle for anything less than a man who is all in. The woman who knows that love is not about waiting, not about hoping, not about proving. Love is about mutual effort, mutual respect, mutual desire. The woman who understands that the right man will never put her in a position where she has to beg for his time, his affection, his commitment. And that's where the power is. Not in trying to be good enough for him, not in proving that you're the perfect woman, not in doing everything right. The power is in being the woman who chooses herself first. The woman who knows that walking away is an option. The woman who does not cling to a man who won't fight for her. Because when a man sees that, when he feels that, when he knows that you are a woman who will not lower her standards just to keep him around, he has no choice but to step up. He has no choice but to fall, because the truth is, men don't fall in love with women who stay no matter what. They fall in love with the women they can't imagine their life without. The women they respect. The women they know they have to work for. The women who don't just give their love away, but make sure it's being received by a man who deserves it. That's what makes a man afraid to lose you. And that fear, that's what makes him love you in a way he has never loved before.
There comes a point in every life when desire stretches beyond the limits of reason. Reason whispers, "This is impossible. The facts are against you. Look at what is before your eyes." And yet, within, there stirs another voice, a quiet assurance that what you long for is already yours. To believe in that unseen reality, even when every sense denies it, is the secret of creation. Belief does not begin in logic. Belief begins in imagination. The senses can only testify to what has been, but imagination reveals what shall be. If you cling to reason, you will forever be bound by appearances. But if you dare to give more weight to the invisible than the visible, you step into the realm where miracles are born. How then do you believe when reason denies it? You do so by choosing to live inwardly in the state of the wish fulfilled. Close your eyes to appearances and feel the reality of your desire. Do not wait for proof. Let the feeling itself be the proof. When you inwardly accept it, it is already accomplished. Reason will argue, but there is no evidence. Nothing has changed. Yet belief is not waiting for evidence, it is creating it. Faith does not beg for permission from the senses. It commands the senses to rearrange themselves to fit the inner acceptance. Withdraw your attention from everything that contradicts your desire. To dwell on obstacles is to give them power. Instead, return again and again to the end you choose. Imagine yourself already there, healed, successful, loved, free, and let the tones of reality in that vision move through you. until they feel more solid than the facts reason presents. And when doubts rise, as they surely will persist, each time you return to the inner vision, belief strengthens. Each time you stand firm against the tyranny of appearances, the unseen reality becomes more real. In time, what once seemed irrational, impossible, even absurd, will emerge into the world of fact, and reason itself will be forced to admit it. Imagination is the creative force that shapes all experience, yet reason insists that only what can be seen, touched, and measured is real. When you rely only on reason, you are confined to the evidence of the senses. You live bound to the past, for every fact reason points to is nothing more than yesterday's imagination crystallized. To transcend limitation, you must dare to trust imagination above reason. Imagination is not fantasy, it is reality in seed form, waiting to be accepted inwardly until it appears outwardly. The unseen reality of imagination carries a truth that is deeper than what the senses claim. For the senses can deceive, but imagination reveals what is to come. Consider for a moment how everything you now call real was once only an imagined possibility. The house you live in, the device you hold, the clothes you wear, each began in the mind of someone who refused to let reason dictate what was possible. Reason would have said, "This cannot be done, for it does not yet exist." But imagination insisted, "It is already real, I see it within me," and from that unseen vision, the outer world adjusted itself until the invisible became visible. If this is true in the world of invention, how much more so in the world of personal desire? When you are faced with circumstances that appear immovable, reason will parade the facts before you. It will point to lack, to sickness, to delay, to impossibility. Yet, in the quiet of your imagination, you can already see the end fulfilled. You can feel the health, the abundance, the success, the harmony as though it were yours this very moment. And though reason scoffs, imagination persists, whispering, "This is the truer reality." For the inner acceptance of a desire is the very cause that summons the outer rearrangement of events. The power of imagination lies not in its ability to daydream, but in its ability to convince. When you dwell in an imagined state long enough, it takes on the tones of reality. You no longer simply wish for it, you feel it to be true. At that moment, a shift occurs. What was once dismissed as fantasy becomes conviction, and conviction is creative. Conviction bends reason, bends facts, bends the very fabric of your outer world until it aligns with the inner vision. If you cling to reason alone, you will always be imprisoned by what is. But if you dare to give imagination precedence, you break the chains of circumstance. You allow yourself to move ahead of reason, ahead of fact, ahead of time. To trust imagination is to live by a higher law, the law that unseen reality precedes seen reality, that cause precedes effect, that inner vision shapes outer fact. Imagination is not secondary to reason, it is primary. To believe in it is to hold in your hands the key to transformation. For the unseen is always greater than what the senses proclaim. Faith is the ability to hold fast to an unseen reality when there is nothing in the outer world to support it. True belief does not depend on visible proof, for proof comes only after the belief has been sustained. The mind trained by reason demands evidence, but faith thrives in the absence of evidence. Faith says, "Though nothing before me testifies to it, I know it is so because I have accepted it within." That inner acceptance is the seed of every change, that will one day unfold. Faith in the invisible is not blind ignorance, but the deepest form of vision. It is seeing beyond appearances into the substance of things hoped for. When you rest in faith, you are not asking the world for permission to believe. You are declaring that the unseen is already more real to you than the seen. The outer world may insist upon lack, sickness, or delay, but within, faith declares completion, wholeness, and fulfillment. The power lies not in waiting for appearances to shift, but in holding unwaveringly to the conviction that they must, for the inner state has already been assumed. To cultivate such faith, you must learn to silence the need for outer confirmation. The senses are tireless reporters of facts, but facts change, and faith is the very force that changes them. When you close your eyes and feel the reality of your desire, you are doing more than indulging in fantasy. You are planting the very cause of its manifestation. Every outer result is born of such unseen conviction. What you hold inwardly with persistence and assurance must eventually project itself outward, for the inner and outer are but reflections of each other. Faith in the invisible often feels like walking against the tide of common sense. Others may laugh at you, reason may mock you, circumstances may oppose you. Yet the one who persists in inner conviction is the one who transforms their world. It is not the majority who create new realities, but the few who are willing to trust the invisible long enough for it to solidify into form. This is why faith requires endurance. It is easy to believe when appearances agree. It is mastery to believe when they deny. Every great shift in life begins with this unseen trust. The artist envisions the masterpiece before the canvas bears a single stroke. The inventor holds the finished machine in mind before a part has been built. The healer feels the wholeness before the body shows a sign of change. Each knows that belief is not a reaction to proof, but the creator of proof. Proof is the echo of faith, the shadow of inner conviction cast upon the stage of the world. To live in the end is to occupy the state of your fulfilled desire before a single shred of evidence appears. It is to clothe yourself inwardly in the reality you long for and to carry it with such naturalness that the outer world has no choice but to bow to it. When you live in the end, you cease to ask when or how your desire will come. You no longer stand as a beggar waiting for proof. You stand as the possessor, calm and assured because within you already hold the thing you seek. Logic will always attempt to ridicule this practice. It will say, how can you act as though you already have what you do not yet see? How can you assume wealth when your bank account says otherwise, or feel love when you appear alone? But logic knows nothing of creation. Logic only deals with what has been, while imagination ushers in what is to come. If you wait for logic to approve, you will never move beyond the limitations of appearances. To create, you must dare to look foolish, to reason, and yet remain steadfast in your inner assumption. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not pretending or deceiving yourself. You are aligning yourself with the only true cause of manifestation, the state of consciousness you occupy. Consciousness is the root of all experience. The moment you inwardly accept a state as real, life begins to mold itself in harmony with it. You may not see the immediate shift, but beneath the surface, unseen currents begin to move. Events rearrange, and circumstances bend to reflect your assumption. This is why it is not enough to wish or hope. Wishing keeps the desire in the future, hoping postpones fulfillment. Living in the end brings it into the present. It makes it real here and now. By feeling it already accomplished, you withdraw the energy from not having and invest it in already being. That shift in consciousness is the bridge across which your desire travels into visibility. Think of an actor who fully takes on a role. While performing, he does not think of himself as pretending. He lives, breathes, and moves as the character. In the same way, when you live in the end, you inhabit the role of the person who already is what they desire to be. You think from that state, feel from that state, and act from that state until it becomes natural. And once it becomes natural within, it must find its echo without. The ridicule of logic is not a signal to abandon the practice, but a confirmation that you are moving beyond the prison of appearances. Every great transformation begins with someone willing to believe against reason, to persist in assumption despite contradiction. To live in the end is to walk by inner vision, not by outer fact. It is the choice to let imagination define reality and to rest in the certainty that what is assumed as true inwardly will harden into fact outwardly. The senses are powerful servants but poor masters. They constantly bombard you with images, sounds, and facts that appear immovable. They insist that what you see and hear is the ultimate truth. Yet, if you are to create a new reality, you must learn the art of silencing the senses, of withdrawing your attention from appearances that contradict your desire. For as long as you feed the senses with belief, you bind yourself to what already is, and what already is will persist. Silencing the senses does not mean ignoring life or pretending facts do not exist. It means refusing to let facts dictate your inner state. You may see lack, but you do not accept it as final. You may hear discouraging words, but you do not allow them to settle in consciousness. You may feel delay, but you do not surrender to impatience. To silence the senses is to deny them the authority to define what is possible. You withdraw your attention from appearances and place it instead on the unseen reality of your fulfilled desire. This withdrawal of attention is not easy, for the senses scream loudly. They demand recognition, and reason joins their chorus. Yet you hold within you the power to turn away inwardly, to detach from the evidence before you, and to fasten your gaze on the inner vision. The more you do so, the weaker the hold of appearances becomes. The facts that once seemed unshakable begin to loosen their grip, and your imagination grows stronger. Consider how a dream feels real while you are in it. The sights, sounds, and emotions of the dream seem undeniable, though they exist only within. In the same way, when you quiet the outer senses and give full attention to the inner world, that unseen reality takes precedence. You begin to feel the tones of reality in your imagination more vividly than the so-called facts outside. And it is this shift of attention that changes everything. And then, in the words of this exchange, the facts are all a mistake. When appearances contradict your desire, persistence in imagination is the remedy. Each time you are tempted to believe what the senses present, withdraw. Go within. See only the outcome you choose. Hear only the words that confirm your fulfillment. Feel only the joy of possession. This is not self-deception, it is self-creation. For the senses report only what has been impressed upon them in the past, while imagination reveals what is waiting to be impressed upon them in the future. As you practice silencing the senses, you discover an inner freedom. No longer are you enslaved by the evidence of the moment. You realize that appearances are shadows, fleeting and changing, while the unseen conviction within you is the substance. By refusing to yield to contradiction, you nourish the unseen until it becomes seen. Eventually, the senses, once your greatest doubters, become the very witnesses of your faith, for they will testify to the reality you once chose to believe, despite their denial. Whatever you accept within yourself, no matter how unreasonable it may appear, becomes the seed of your outer experience. Life is not governed by appearances, but by the silent agreements you make within. The world you see is nothing more than the echo of your inner consent. If you accept limitation, it must show itself. If you accept freedom, it will appear. The outer world does not choose for you, it only mirrors what you have already accepted as true in the secret chambers of imagination. This is why inner acceptance is far more powerful than outer effort. A person may strive, plan, and labor endlessly, but if inwardly they hold the conviction of failure, their outer actions will lead them back to the same result. Another may appear to do little, but inwardly they have accepted success as their state of being, and soon life bends itself to confirm that acceptance. The difference is not in effort, but in the root from which all action springs, the inner assumption. It may seem irrational to accept something that contradicts reason and fact, yet the so-called rational world is always one step behind. Every invention, every discovery, every transformation was once irrational. To the senses it appeared impossible, but someone dared to accept it inwardly. They lived in that acceptance long enough for the outer world to bow to it. What was once mocked as foolishness became celebrated as reality, and reason was forced to rewrite its rules. To accept inwardly does not mean to strain or to force. It means to calmly rest in the feeling that what you desire is already yours. It means to let the assumption sink so deeply into your being that it feels natural. This naturalness is the key, for when you no longer try to make it happen, but simply accept it as done, you release the struggle. And when struggle ceases, creation flows. Every time you revisit your inner acceptance, you are watering the seed. You may not see growth immediately, but beneath the surface, roots are spreading. Circumstances are shifting, people are being moved, opportunities are aligning. The outer world takes time to rearrange itself, but the moment of inner acceptance is the true moment of creation. All else is simply the unfolding of what has already been decreed within. When doubts rise, as they often will, remind yourself that appearances are not final. They are only delayed reflections of past assumptions. They cannot hold power over you unless you renew your agreement with them. Withdraw your consent from what you do not want and reaffirm your acceptance of what you do want. In time, the outer will have no choice but to reflect your inner choice. So dare to accept inwardly the reality your reason mocks. Dare to rest in the conviction that what you feel to be true within must show itself without. For the law of life is simple yet profound. What you accept inwardly becomes the fact of your world. Persistence is the secret ingredient that turns imagination into fact. To see the end within once is not enough, for the senses will return to confront you with contradiction. Doubt will rise, appearances will mock, reason will argue. Yet, if you persist, if you repeatedly return to the inner vision, faith strengthens and doubt loses its hold. What once seemed impossible begins to feel natural. and what feels natural must inevitably take form. The outer world is stubborn only to those who are unsteady within. If you shift your inner vision today but surrender to appearances tomorrow, you plant and uproot the seed again and again. No seed can grow under such treatment. But if you remain faithful, returning each day to the inner state of the wish fulfilled, you allow the seed to deepen its roots. With time, the invisible begins to push through the soil of appearances, and what was once unseen breaks forth into visibility. Persistence is not frantic effort. It is quiet consistency. It is the gentle but firm decision to keep turning back to the end you desire, no matter how many times the senses tempt you away. You may falter, you may drift into fear or worry, but persistence does not demand perfection, it demands return. Each time you return to the inner vision, you reinforce it. Each return strengthens the feeling of reality within you until it becomes unshakable. Reason is powerful, but it is not final. It draws its conclusions from appearances, and appearances are shadows of yesterday's states of mind. When you persist in the inner vision, reason must eventually bend, for it can only measure what it sees. And when what it sees changes to match your inner conviction, reason itself will stand as proof of what you once believed without evidence. This is why persistence is a true test of faith. Anyone can imagine for a moment, anyone can feel for a day, but the one who persists despite contradiction is the one who brings about transformation. It is persistence that carries you across the bridge of time, from unseen conviction to seen reality. The vision you hold within may seem distant, but each return draws it nearer until the gap disappears and you find yourself living in what you once only imagined. Think of persistence as the rhythm of creation. Just as the ocean shapes the shore, not by a single wave, but by the ceaseless return of waves, so does the inner vision shape the outer world by its steady repetition. The more faithfully you return to it, the more unshakable it becomes, until no fact, no argument, no delay can move you from it. At that point, faith has matured into certainty, and certainty is irresistible. So persist no matter what arises. Persist when reason denies. Persist when appearances mock. Persist when doubt whispers. For each return to your vision chisels away at resistance. And in the end, it is not appearances that win, but the one who persists beyond doubt until the unseen becomes the undeniable fact of life. In conclusion, the great secret is simple yet profound. What you hold within becomes the reality without. When reason denies, imagination affirms. When appearances contradict, faith sustains. To live in the end, to silence the senses, to accept inwardly what seems irrational, and to persist beyond doubt is to step into the creative power of your own consciousness. The world will eventually reflect what you dare to believe, not what reason allows you to believe. If you will faithfully choose the unseen over the seen, conviction over evidence, and persistence over contradiction, you will find that life bends to your vision, and the impossible becomes inevitable. Thank you for listening, and may you walk with courage in the unseen until what you have imagined becomes the undeniable fact of your world.
If you believe that working harder will make you wealthy, you are operating under one of the most dangerous delusions known to man. Today, I'm going to shatter this illusion and reveal to you the one thing that separates the wealthy from the poor. And it has nothing to do with your effort, your education, or your circumstances. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will completely transform how you think about wealth and success. My friends, let me begin with a story that will illustrate the profound truth I wish to share with you today. There once was a man who worked 3 jobs. He woke at 4 a.m., returned home at midnight, and repeated this cycle for 20 years. His hands were calloused, his back ached, and his bank account remained stubbornly empty. Meanwhile, his neighbor, a man who seemed to work less, stress less, and enjoy life more, accumulated wealth effortlessly. The hard-working man would often say, "Life is unfair. I work so much harder than him, yet he has everything, while I have nothing." But you see, my friends, this man had fallen into the trap that ensnares millions, the belief that physical effort alone creates wealth. He had confused activity with achievement, motion with progress. Now, before you think I'm about to tell you to work less, let me share the shocking truth about what actually creates wealth and why 99% of people will never discover it. The truth is this: wealth is not created by your hands, but by your imagination, not by your sweat, but by your state of consciousness, not by what you do, but by what you assume to be true about yourself. I have observed thousands of individuals throughout my years, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that the wealthy possess one quality that the poor lack entirely. They live in the consciousness of wealth before they have any physical evidence of it. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, for it will seem contrary to everything you've been taught. The wealthy do not work hard to become wealthy. They become wealthy in consciousness first, and then the physical world rearranges itself to match their inner state. Let me share with you an experience from my own life. Years ago, I found myself in circumstances that would have discouraged most men. I had no money, no prospects, and no apparent way forward. But I had discovered a secret that changed everything. Instead of working harder at my circumstances, I began to work on my consciousness. Each night, before sleep, I would imagine myself as the man I wanted to become. I would feel the satisfaction of financial freedom, the peace of security, the joy of abundance. I didn't merely think about these things. I felt them as real, as present, as already accomplished. What happened next will challenge everything you believe about how wealth is created. But first, let me explain the dangerous trap that keeps most people poor forever. The trap, my friends, is this: most people work from the consciousness of lack while trying to create abundance. They affirm poverty while seeking wealth. They declare their limitations while praying for expansion. Every morning they wake up and say, "I have to work hard to make money." Do you see the assumption embedded in that statement? They assume that money is scarce, that it requires struggle, that they must sacrifice their time and energy to obtain it. But wealth flows to those who assume it naturally, effortlessly, and inevitably. Now, let me be very clear about what I mean by consciousness. I am not speaking of positive thinking or wishful dreaming. I am speaking of a fundamental shift in your concept of self. The wealthy person does not hope to be wealthy. They know they are wealthy. They do not work to create wealth. They work from the consciousness of wealth. They do not struggle to attract money. Money flows to them because they have become a magnet for it through their state of being. But here's where most people make the fatal mistake that keeps them trapped in poverty forever. They try to change their circumstances instead of changing this one thing. The thing they must change is their self-concept. Your self-concept is the sum total of all the beliefs you hold about yourself. It is your answer to the question, "Who am I?" If you believe you are someone who must work hard to earn money, you will always find yourself working hard for money. If you believe you are someone who struggles financially, you will always find evidence of financial struggle. If you believe you are limited by your circumstances will always limit you. But if you believe, truly believe, that you are wealthy, that abundance is your natural state, that money flows to you easily and consistently, then this must become your experience. How do you change your self-concept? Through the practice of assumption. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must live in the consciousness of what you want to be, not what you currently appear to be. Every night, As you prepare for sleep, imagine yourself as the wealthy person you want to become. Feel what it feels like to have complete financial freedom. Sense the peace, the security, the joy of abundance. Make it so real in your imagination that it becomes more real than your current circumstances. Now I'm going to share with you the exact technique that has created more millionaires than any business strategy or investment plan ever could. But you must promise me you'll actually use it. The technique is this: revision of your financial story. Right now, you have a story about money. Perhaps it's a story of struggle, of never having enough, of having to work hard for every dollar. This story is not serving you. It is, in fact, imprisoning you. Tonight, I want you to revise this story. In your imagination, go back to your earliest memories about money. Revise them. See yourself as always having enough, as naturally attracting wealth, as being blessed with abundance. Then revise your present circumstances. In your imagination, see your bank account with the balance you desire. Feel the satisfaction of financial security. Sense the freedom that comes with abundance. Do this consistently, persistently, and with feeling, and you will be amazed at how quickly your outer world begins to conform to your inner vision. Now you might ask, but Neville, don't I need to take action? Don't I need to work? My friends, I am not advocating laziness. I am advocating intelligent effort. When you work from the consciousness of wealth, your actions become inspired, effortless, and effective. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. Opportunities appear, doors open, people help you. But when you work from the consciousness of lack, your efforts become desperate, forced, and ultimately futile. You work harder and harder while getting further and further away from your goal. Let me share with you the one question that separates the wealthy from the poor. It's so simple, yet so profound, that it will change your life forever. The question is this: what would I do if I were already wealthy? Not, what do I need to do to become wealthy? But what would I do if I were already wealthy? The wealthy person asks this question naturally because they already see themselves as wealthy. They make decisions from the consciousness of abundance, not from the consciousness of lack. This brings me to one of the most important principles I can share with you. Live from the end. Do not live from your current circumstances. Do not live from your past experiences. Do not live from your fears and limitations. Live from the end, from the assumption that you already are what you want to become. If you want to be wealthy, live as if you already are wealthy. Make decisions as a wealthy person would make them. Think thoughts that wealthy people think. Feel feelings that wealthy people feel. This is not pretense. This is creation. You are not pretending to be wealthy. You are becoming wealthy by assuming the consciousness of wealth. Let me share with you the most powerful wealth-building secret I've ever discovered. It's so counterintuitive that most people will never believe it, but those who do will never be poor again. The secret is this: wealth is not something you get, it's something you are. You do not become wealthy by accumulating money. You accumulate money by becoming wealthy in consciousness. The money is merely the external expression of your internal state. This is why people who win the lottery often end up broke again. They never changed their consciousness. They got the money, but they never became wealthy. And this is why some people seem to create wealth effortlessly over and over again. Even when they lose everything, they have become wealthy in consciousness, and the external world must conform to their internal state. For the next 30 days, live as if you are already wealthy, not in your actions necessarily, but in your consciousness. Assume the feeling of wealth. Think from wealth. Feel from wealth. Be wealthy in your imagination until it becomes real in your experience. Remember, my friends, imagination is not an escape from reality. Imagination is reality. The world you see around you is nothing more than the outpicturing of human imagination. Change your imagination, and you change your world. Now let me share with you another profound truth that will deepen your understanding. Money, like everything else in this universe, is energy in motion. It has what we might call a vibrational quality, a frequency that attracts like unto itself. When you worry about money, when you stress about bills, when you feel anxiety about your financial future, you are broadcasting a signal of lack. And the universe, which is nothing more than your own consciousness pushed out, responds by sending you more experiences that match that signal of lack. But when you feel abundant, when you feel wealthy, when you feel secure and at peace with your financial life, you broadcast a completely different signal. You become a magnet for wealth because you are vibrating at the frequency of wealth. And here's something that will shock you. Most people are actually repelling money while desperately trying to attract it. They're doing one thing that guarantees poverty, and they don't even realize it. What they're doing is this. They're focusing on the absence of money rather than the presence of it. They're thinking about debt instead of abundance. They're worried about what they don't have instead of appreciating what they do have. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how creation works. You cannot create from a place of lack. You cannot attract abundance while focusing on scarcity. You cannot manifest wealth while feeling poor. Let me be very specific about what I mean by feeling wealthy. I'm not talking about fake enthusiasm or forced positivity. I'm talking about a deep, settled knowing that you are provided for, that you are abundant, that money flows to you easily and naturally. This feeling might come to you when you're walking in nature and you suddenly feel connected to the infinite abundance of the universe. It might come when you're genuinely grateful for what you already have. It might come when you realize that you've always been taken care of, that somehow, some way, your needs have always been met. When you find this feeling, this genuine feeling of abundance, hold on to it, cultivate it, return to it again and again, make it your dominant emotional state. Now here's where many people struggle. They assume the feeling of wealth, they imagine their desires fulfilled, but then they try to force their good to come. They become impatient. They look for it desperately. They worry about how it will manifest. My friends, you must learn the art of allowing. Once you have planted the seed in consciousness, once you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you must allow it to grow. You must trust the process. You must know that it is already done. The wealthiest people I've known all share one surprising trait. It's not what you think, and it's probably the opposite of what you've been taught about success. The trait is this: they don't chase money. They don't desperately seek opportunities. They don't anxiously check their bank accounts every day. Instead, they feel wealthy first, and then they allow wealth to flow to them. They understand that desperation repels what you want, while confidence attracts it. They know that when you chase something, you are affirming that you don't have it. But when you feel as though you already have it, you naturally attract more of it. Let me share with you one of the most powerful techniques for shifting into the consciousness of wealth. The practice of appreciation. Right now, regardless of your circumstances, there are things in your life that represent abundance. Perhaps it's the air you breathe, free and unlimited. Perhaps it's the water that flows from your tap, clean and available. Perhaps it's the food in your refrigerator, the roof over your head, the clothes on your back. Begin to genuinely appreciate these things. Feel grateful for them. Recognize them as evidence of your abundance. When you appreciate what you have, you align yourself with the energy of abundance, and more abundance must flow to you. This is not a trick or a technique. This is a fundamental law of consciousness. What you appreciate, appreciates. What you focus on with gratitude expands in your experience. Now I'm going to reveal the number one mistake that keeps people trapped in financial struggle for their entire lives. Even people who understand these principles often make this devastating error. The mistake is this: they try to manifest money to solve their problems instead of manifesting from a place of already feeling solved. They say, when I have money, then I'll feel secure. But the law of consciousness says, when you feel secure, then you'll have money. They say, when I'm wealthy, then I'll be happy. But the truth is, when you're happy, then you'll be wealthy. They say, when I have abundance, then I'll be generous. But the principle is, when you're generous, then you'll have abundance. You see, my friends, the feeling must come first. The consciousness must change before the circumstances change. This brings me to one of the most transformative practices you can adopt, living in a constant state of gratitude for your wealth, before you see it in your physical experience. Every morning, wake up and feel grateful for your financial abundance. Thank the universe for the money that is flowing to you. Appreciate the wealth that is already yours in consciousness. Feel blessed by your prosperity. Do this not as a technique to get something, but as a recognition of what already is. In consciousness, you are already wealthy. In imagination, you already have everything you desire. Your gratitude is simply an acknowledgement of this truth. And here's the secret that separates those who manifest money quickly from those who struggle for years. It's all about this one invisible shift that changes everything. The shift is from wanting to having, from seeking to being, from becoming to already being. Most people live in a constant state of wanting. They want more money, they want financial security, they want abundance. But wanting implies lack. When you want something, you are affirming that you don't have it. But when you shift into the consciousness of having, when you feel wealthy now, when you live as though you already have what you desire, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance. Now let me share with you another profound realization. Wealth flows most easily to those who expect it to come easily. If you believe that making money must be hard, that you must struggle and sacrifice to be wealthy, then that will be your experience. But if you believe that wealth is your natural state, that money flows to you effortlessly, that abundance is as natural as breathing, then this becomes your reality. The universe is always saying yes to your beliefs. It never argues with your assumptions. If you assume wealth is difficult, the universe will make it difficult. If you assume wealth is easy, the universe will make it easy. I'm about to share with you the most counterintuitive wealth principle of all. It goes against everything society teaches, but it's the key to unlimited abundance. The principle is this: the less you need money, the more it comes to you. When you desperately need money, when you're anxious about it, when you're constantly worried about your finances, you create resistance to its flow. Your need creates a vibration of lack that repels what you want. But when you feel abundant regardless of your bank account, when you feel secure regardless of your circumstances, when you feel wealthy regardless of your current financial situation, you remove all resistance to money's flow. This doesn't mean being irresponsible with money. It means being emotionally free from the need for money while still appreciating and enjoying it. My friends, I want you to understand that life is a game, a beautiful, magnificent game of creation. Money is simply one of the tokens in this game. When you understand this, you can play the game with joy rather than desperation, with confidence rather than fear, with creativity rather than limitation. The wealthy understand this game. They know that money is just energy, and energy always flows to where it's welcomed and appreciated. They know that abundance is not about having a certain amount in the bank. It's about feeling abundant regardless of the numbers. When you truly embody wealth consciousness, something beautiful happens. Not only does your financial situation improve, but every area of your life begins to flourish. Your relationships become richer, your health improves, your creativity expands, your joy increases. This is because wealth consciousness is really abundance consciousness. And abundance consciousness affects everything in your experience. When you know yourself to be abundant, you experience abundance in all forms. Before we conclude, let me give you the ultimate test of whether you've truly understood what I've shared today. There's one simple question that will reveal everything. The question is this: how do you feel about money right now, in this moment? If you feel anxious, worried, desperate, or fearful about money, you are operating from the consciousness of lack, and no amount of hard work will permanently change your circumstances. But if you feel peaceful, grateful, confident, and abundant about money, you are operating from the consciousness of wealth, and your external circumstances must eventually reflect this internal state. Let me give you a specific daily practice that will transform your relationship with money. Each morning, before you get out of bed, spend 5 minutes feeling grateful for your wealth. Don't focus on what you want to have. Focus on what you already have in consciousness. Feel the peace of financial security. Sense the joy of abundance. Experience the freedom of wealth. Throughout the day, whenever you handle money, whether you're paying a bill, making a purchase, or receiving payment, do so with gratitude and appreciation. See each transaction as a circulation of abundance, not a loss of resources. Before sleep each night, imagine your bank account with the balance you desire. But don't strain or effort to make this happen. Simply enjoy the feeling of having what you want. Fall asleep in the consciousness of wealth. And here's something that will amaze you. When you operate from genuine abundance consciousness, money doesn't just come to you, it multiplies. Opportunities appear that you never could have imagined. People want to give you money. Investments grow beyond expectation. Ideas become profitable ventures. This is because abundance consciousness is creative consciousness. When you feel abundant, you think abundantly. When you think abundantly, you act abundantly. When you act abundantly, you create abundantly. And if you truly understand what I've shared with you today, you'll never work hard to be wealthy again. You'll work from wealth, not for wealth. You'll attract abundance instead of chasing it. You'll become a magnet for money instead of a slave to it. But more than that, you'll understand that wealth is not really about money at all. True wealth is the consciousness of abundance. True wealth is the knowledge that you are provided for, that you are blessed, that you are one with the source of all good. When you have this consciousness, money becomes simply one of the many ways that abundance expresses itself in your life. You may have money, or you may not, but you will always feel wealthy because you will know yourself to be wealthy. The choice is yours, my friends. You can continue to work hard and remain poor, or you can work smart and become wealthy. You can continue to live from your circumstances, or you can live from your imagination. You can continue to chase money, or you can allow money to flow to you. The power is within you. It always has been. It always will be. The question is, will you use it? Your current financial situation is not a reflection of your worth, your capabilities, or your potential. It is simply a reflection of your past thinking, your past beliefs, your past consciousness. But your future financial situation will be a reflection of your present consciousness, your present beliefs, your present thinking. Change your consciousness, and you change your world. Assume the feeling of wealth, and wealth must be your experience. Live from the end, and the end becomes your beginning. Go now, and assume the consciousness of wealth. Feel it, live it, breathe it, until it becomes as natural to you as breathing itself. And remember, you are not limited by your circumstances unless you believe you are. You are not poor unless you assume you are. You are not bound by your past unless you choose to be. You are the creator of your experience. Create wisely, create abundantly, create wealth. The world is waiting for your success. Go claim it. And remember, my friends, that wealth is not a destination. It is a way of being. It is not something you achieve. It is something you are. It is not something you get. It is something you give through the very nature of your abundant consciousness. Be wealthy now, in this moment, in your consciousness, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to reflect this truth back to you in ways more beautiful and abundant than you ever dared to imagine. The time is now. The place is here. The person is you. Go forth and prosper.
Every moment of the day, you are in conversation with yourself. The question is not whether you talk to yourself, but how. These inner conversations are the architects of your reality. They are the silent builders, shaping every event, every circumstance, every meeting you call coincidence. If you desire to manifest anything, you must learn to talk to yourself as though the very thing you long for is already yours. When you speak inwardly, never speak as the one who is hoping, longing, or waiting. Speak as the one who already possesses. Instead of saying, "One day I will have it," you declare, "It is mine now." Instead of confessing, "I am trying," you affirm, "I am already living it." For the unseen is listening, and your words are the molds in which life must pour itself. To talk to yourself in the right way is to rehearse the end of your desire until it feels natural. If you want abundance, do not speak as the poor asking for more, but as the rich who already has. If you want love, do not cry as the lonely, but whisper as the beloved who is cherished. This is not pretending. This is creating. You are impressing upon your inner self the vision of what must appear outwardly. Guard carefully what you say within. Never indulge in complaints, for they return multiplied. Never repeat fears, for they sculpt your tomorrow in their image. Instead, turn every inner word into a decree of fulfillment. Tell yourself, I am already there. I am already living it. I am already free. Let this inner talk become your constant companion, day and night. And here is the mystery. You need not strain, you need not struggle, you only need to persist. Speak the end with such conviction that your mind accepts it as fact. Once accepted, your world must shift to reflect it, for the outer cannot resist the inner command. So when you rise in the morning and when you rest at night, ask yourself, what am I telling myself right now? For in that moment, you are setting the stage for the days to come. Talk to yourself like the person who already has what you desire, and life will not delay in delivering it. The words you whisper inwardly are seeds planted in the subconscious soil. Speak as if it is already done. Within you lies a field more fertile than any earth you have ever touched. Every word you speak to yourself, every thought you repeat silently, is a seed dropped into that unseen ground. Just as a farmer does not doubt that the seed will take root and grow when planted, so must you have the same unwavering faith in the words you inwardly affirm. They are not idle sounds echoing in the mind. They are living forces, shaping and reshaping the invisible foundation of your reality. The subconscious is impartial. It does not question whether the seed planted is beneficial or harmful. It simply accepts it and brings it to life. If you sow words of doubt, lack, or fear, you will reap experiences that echo those same vibrations. If you plant words of fulfillment, abundance, love, and strength, your life will yield the harvest of those declarations. This is why it is vital to speak as if it is already done. You are not describing the soil, you are commanding it to produce. When you whisper to yourself, I am successful, though outer circumstances may deny it, you are planting the seed of success. When you affirm, I am loved, even if loneliness surrounds you, you are planting the seed of love. The subconscious does not know time as the conscious mind does. To it, the moment you say it is the moment it becomes real. The outer world only reflects the inner crop that has matured. Therefore, to speak as if it is already done is to step into the creative act, knowing that unseen forces are aligning to bring your declaration into visible form. Many speak to themselves as beggars, pleading for what they want, reinforcing lack rather than fulfillment. Yet the true secret is to speak like the master who already possesses the treasure. Imagine a man planting a seed and then returning to the soil every hour, digging it up to see if it has grown. Would the seed survive such constant disturbance? No. He plants it and trusts the unseen process beneath the ground. So must you with your words. Plant them once with faith, water them with repetition, and then allow the unseen to bring them forth in their season. There is no limit to what you may plant within yourself. If you desire freedom, whisper it into being. If you desire healing, declare it in the quiet chambers of your heart. If you desire peace, affirm it until the atmosphere of your mind changes. Speak not from the place of want, but from the place of having. Say, it is mine, I am living it, I am experiencing it now. This is the language that impresses the subconscious deeply, for it accepts assumption as fact. Every harvest you see in your life today is the result of seeds once whispered. If you wish to change the harvest, change the seeds. Speak as if it is already done. For in truth, the act of speaking inwardly is the act of creation itself. Do not describe life as it is. Affirm life as you desire it to be. The great error most people make is to look at the present state of things and give it power by constant description. They say, this is my condition, this is my problem, this is my lack, and in doing so, they bind themselves to that very reality. To describe life as it is may feel honest, but it is not creative. Creation begins when you rise above appearances and declare life as you wish it to be. When you affirm life as you desire it, you are no longer the prisoner of facts, but the master of vision. Facts are nothing more than shadows of past assumptions, echoes of words you once accepted as true. They carry no life of their own. They only linger because you continue to feed them with attention. To break free, you must turn your words away from what is and toward what is desired. The moment you begin to speak differently, you loosen the grip of the present and open the door to the future you long for. To affirm is not to lie. It is to plant the seed of truth not yet visible. A farmer who sows corn does not see the corn immediately, yet he calls the seed corn, not dirt. In the same way, when you affirm abundance while facing lack, you are not lying, you are naming the seed for what it truly is, even before the harvest shows itself. Your affirmation is the claim of the unseen reality which must eventually appear in form. The world will tempt you to speak of conditions as they are. It will present bills, disappointments, failures, and delays, asking you to declare them loudly. But if you desire to manifest differently, you must resist this temptation. You must speak not of the lack of money, but of the overflowing supply. You must speak not of loneliness, but of being deeply cherished. You must speak not of fear, but of security and strength. Every time you affirm the desired state, instead of describing the present one, you weaken the hold of what is and strengthen the pull of what shall be. Consider how many live bound by their words. They say, nothing ever works out for me. I am always unlucky. I never have enough. These declarations are not idle. They are laws they have set upon themselves. Life cannot contradict the inner command. But imagine if they reversed their words, saying instead, things always work in my favor. Opportunities find me easily. I live in abundance. In time, the world would shift to reflect those affirmations. For what you speak inwardly becomes what you experience outwardly. So train yourself daily. Refuse to repeat the story of what is. Refuse to give voice to facts that do not serve you. Instead, affirm boldly the life you desire. Let your inner speech become a constant rehearsal of the future you wish to live. Affirm health, wealth, love, and peace until your subconscious accepts them as natural. And once accepted, life will mold itself to match your declarations. You are not here to echo the present. You are here to command the future. Do not describe life as it is. Affirm life as you desire it to be, and watch as the world bends to your inner decree. The inner dialogue is a script that the outer world must follow. Every conversation you carry on in the secret chambers of your mind is not without consequence. It is not mere imagination or idle chatter. It is the writing of a script. And the world around you is the stage upon which that script must be acted out. Just as an actor performs the lines written in a play, so too does your reality perform the lines whispered within you. What you repeat inwardly is rehearsed until it becomes the performance of your outer life. Most people do not realize they are both the author and the actor. They assume the outer world dictates what they should think and say inwardly. They see circumstances and then repeat them to themselves, saying, "This is how it is, this is my life, this is my problem." Without knowing it, they are rehearsing a script that guarantees a repeat performance. The same troubles, the same disappointments, the same cycles appear because the inner dialogue has not changed. But the moment you alter the script within, the play without must follow suit. If, instead of rehearsing failure, you begin rehearsing success, the stage will rearrange itself to match the new lines. If, instead of whispering loneliness, you begin to script conversations of love, the world will provide characters who will echo that love. It is law. The inner dialogue is the script, and the outer world has no choice but to act it out. Consider how often you speak to yourself in ways you would never allow another to speak to you. You say, "I am not enough. I can't do it. Nothing ever changes." These words may never be spoken aloud, yet they are spoken in the most powerful court, the subconscious mind. And because the subconscious does not argue, it simply accepts, these words become orders it must carry out. Life will conspire to prove them true, not because they are facts, but because they were lines rehearsed too often to be ignored. To master your life, you must master your dialogue. Begin to speak to yourself as one who has already achieved what you seek. If you desire abundance, carry on inner conversations where you tell yourself, "Everything I touch prospers. Opportunities open for me daily. Wealth flows to me with ease." If you long for love, script dialogues where you feel adored, appreciated, and cherished. Let these conversations be so vivid and consistent that they leave no room for the old script of lack or fear. When you persist in this new dialogue, a shift occurs. The world begins to take on the shape of your rehearsals. People show up to play the roles you have written for them in silence. Events unfold in harmony with the script you have secretly practiced. It may seem mysterious, but it is only the natural law of creation. What is impressed inwardly must be expressed outwardly. You cannot escape your inner words. They are not harmless musings, they are commands. The wise learn to direct them consciously, scripting only that which they wish to live. The unwise allow random fears, doubts, and complaints to write their lives for them. But the choice is always yours. If you desire to change the stage, you must change the script. And the script is nothing more than the dialogue you carry on with yourself day after day. Speak from the end, not toward it. Declare from fulfillment, not from lack. The great mistake many make in their inner speech is to pray, affirm, or declare from a position of absence. They say, "I want to be wealthy, I want to be loved, I want to be free." And though these words seem harmless, they carry within them the vibration of lack. To want something is to confess that you do not have it. To long for it is to emphasize its distance. Life simply mirrors back the state from which you speak. And so the longing is prolonged. The distance remains. To speak from the end is altogether different. It is to rise above the state of wanting and stand in the state of having. It is to declare, I am wealthy now, I am loved now, I am free now. In doing so, you impress upon the subconscious the image of fulfillment, and the subconscious, being faithful, must outpicture it in your outer world. This is not wishful thinking, it is the creative act itself. You are not asking for something to come, you are claiming that it has already arrived. Imagine an actor preparing for a role. He does not rehearse as though the character will one day exist. He becomes the character now. He speaks the lines with conviction as though he already is the one he portrays. Likewise, you must rehearse the end in your own life. If you desire health, do not speak as the sick pleading for healing, but as the healed giving thanks for vitality. If you desire success, do not speak as the struggler hoping for a break, but as the successful one living in accomplishment. When you declare from fulfillment, you place yourself at the end of the story, and life, like a faithful servant, rearranges itself to match your declaration. This principle requires trust. It demands that you close your eyes to present appearances and open your heart to unseen realities. The outer world may contradict you. Facts may scream otherwise. Yet you must persist in speaking from the end. For just as a seed in the ground looks nothing like the harvest to come, so too do your declarations of fulfillment appear foolish in the face of current lack. But wait. Persist. Speak only from the end, and in time the harvest must appear. Many weaken their manifestation by wavering between the two states. One moment they speak from the end, declaring it is done, and the next they revert to lack, confessing, I hope it will come. This double-mindedness delays the process, for the subconscious is impressed by consistency. To truly manifest, you must remain steadfast, speaking as the one who already lives in the reality desired. So practice daily, enter the end in imagination, feel the joy of its completion, and let your words flow from that state. Say, I am already there. It is already mine. I am already living in it. Let every thought, every whisper, every declaration come from the fulfillment itself. When you speak this way, the distance between desire and manifestation collapses. For you no longer chase what you seek, you live in it now. To speak from the end is to hold the power of creation in your hands. To declare from fulfillment is to command life itself. When you master this art, you will find that every desire yields to you. For the world has no choice but to reflect the end from which you speak. Every repeated inner statement impresses the unseen, and what is impressed will surely be expressed. Within you lies a silent power that never sleeps, a power that records every word you speak to yourself and molds your outer life accordingly. This power is impartial. It does not decide for you what is right or wrong, beneficial or harmful. It simply receives the impressions you give it, and with unbending faithfulness, it shapes your world to match them. Repetition. The key is understanding that repetition is the tool by which these impressions are carved deeply into the unseen mind. Think of water falling gently upon a stone. One drop seems harmless, incapable of leaving a mark. Yet repeated drops, over time, wear away even the hardest surface. So it is with your words. A single inner statement may pass without much effect, but when repeated, it etches itself into the depths of your subconscious, creating a groove that reality must follow. Every time you affirm, you are chiseling the pattern more deeply. Eventually, the unseen accepts it as truth, and once accepted, the outer world cannot help but reflect it. This is why persistence is more powerful than force. You need not strain or struggle to make your desire come to pass. You only need to repeat it inwardly with conviction until it feels natural. Say to yourself, I am successful. I am loved. I am free. At first, it may feel false, as though you are pretending. But with repetition, the words lose their strangeness and begin to feel familiar. The moment they feel natural, they are impressed, and what is impressed must be expressed. Most people unknowingly impress the unseen with fear, doubt, and limitation. They repeat statements like, nothing ever works out for me. I never have enough. People always disappoint me. These words, spoken over and over, settle into the subconscious as laws. Life then organizes itself to prove them right, not because such is their destiny, but because such was their decree. The tragedy is that they mistake these outer results as evidence of truth, and so they repeat the same inner statements with even greater conviction, deepening the cycle. But the same law that binds you also frees you, just as repeated words of limitation create bondage, repeated words of fulfillment create freedom. Begin today to choose your inner statements with care. Let your repetition be deliberate and filled with life. Whisper often to yourself, everything I need comes to me with ease. I am surrounded by love. Opportunities are always opening for me. My life overflows with abundance. Say it when you rise. Say it as you walk. Say it before you sleep. Let rapidity write a new script in the unseen. And do not concern yourself with when or how it will appear. That is not your task. Your work is only to impress. The unseen will handle expression with perfect timing. Trust the law. What you impress will be expressed. Repeat with faith. Persist until it feels natural, and then rest in the certainty that your world must mirror your inner decree. Every repeated inner statement is a seed, and the soil of the subconscious never fails to give harvest. Choose wisely what you plant. Repeat it until it is alive within you, and soon you will walk in the expression of what you once only whispered. Guard your inner conversations, for they are not idle. They are creative decrees shaping your tomorrow. Every word you speak within yourself is a command. Every thought you rehearse is a prophecy. You may not see its effect immediately, but make no mistake. These inner exchanges are setting in motion the very circumstances you will walk into. There is no such thing as an empty word spoken to yourself. Each carries weight, each carries life, and each is planting the future in your unseen mind. Many treat their inner talk carelessly, as though it were harmless chatter. They argue with themselves, rehearse offenses, complain about lack, and imagine worst-case scenarios. They do not realize that with every repetition, they are giving life to those very conditions. To worry is simply to rehearse failure in advance. To complain is to affirm lack as law. To dwell on fear is to summon its shadow into form. Nothing you tell yourself passes unnoticed. The subconscious records it all and faithfully reproduces it. This is why vigilance is necessary. Just as a wise guardian protects the gates of a city, so must you guard the gates of your mind. Allow no intruder in the form of negative conversation. The moment you notice yourself rehearsing defeat, stop and replace it with victory. The instant you catch yourself speaking of lack, affirm abundance instead. Do not let careless words slip by, for they are not idle. They are seeds waiting for the hour to sprout. Guarding your inner conversations does not mean living in fear of every thought. It means living consciously, choosing deliberately the words you repeat within. Decide in advance the kind of future you wish to live, and then allow only those words that align with it. If you desire health, let your inner talk be filled with the language of vitality and strength. If you desire success, let your inner voice echo achievement and opportunity. If you long for love, speak to yourself as one already cherished and deeply valued. Your words are not mere reflections of reality, they are creators of reality. The great secret is persistence. A guarded mind is not swayed by appearances. Even if the world contradicts you, you remain faithful to the conversation within. You say, I am blessed, I am secure, I am thriving, even when outer circumstances whisper otherwise. You guard your words as a king guards his crown, for you know they carry the authority to shape what comes next. And eventually, what was once only an inner decree becomes your outer experience. Look at your life today, and you will see the conversations of yesterday. Look at your tomorrow, and you will see the conversations of today. This law never fails, so keep watch over your inner dialogue with diligence. Refuse to entertain words that diminish you. Instead, continually affirm the life you desire until it becomes the only natural way of speaking. Your inner talk is the script of your destiny, the decree of your tomorrow. Guard it with care, for it is not idle. It is creation itself. Every truth we have explored returns to one central reality. Your inner world is the cause, and your outer world is the effect. The way you talk to yourself, the words you repeat, and the conversations you guard are not mere mental activity. They are the blueprint of your future. Speak from the end, not from lack. Affirm life as you desire it, not as it currently appears. Protect the garden of your mind, for every seed whispered inwardly must bear fruit outwardly. The law is simple yet profound. What you impress within will be expressed without. So walk with confidence, knowing you are never at the mercy of circumstances. You are the writer of the script, the planter of the seed, the guardian of the word. Your destiny is not in the hands of chance, but in the dialogue you keep alive within yourself. Talk to yourself like the one who already possesses, who already is, who already lives the fulfillment. Persist until it feels natural, and life will bow to your decree. Thank you for giving your attention, your presence, and your openness to these words. May you leave here not only inspired, but transformed in the way you speak to yourself, for that change alone is enough to reshape your entire tomorrow. Thank you, and may your inner words today become the beautiful expressions of your life tomorrow.